Welcome back to another DASSBEAR mod spotlight. In today's video, we're going to be looking at two different mods made by the same modder. First up, we have the Empire Tanks mod, as you can see here in the background. And next up, we have the Kislev Tanks mod, which you can see here as well. I'm excited to dive in, guys. We're going to cover every unit, show some combat, and let's talk about them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Our very first Empire vehicle we're looking at here is the Bulwark Panzer tank. This is pretty much a flamethrower tank. As you can see here, it does flame damage, range is kind of low, missile strength is high. The abilities that he put in this mod really make sense for this, and I'm going to talk about each of them. The directional shield here, based off where things hit, the missile block chance changes. I like that. It makes sense for a tank with different armor thicknesses and angling. So, I mean, that really makes sense. Next up, we have the Hochland Jagged Panzer. Obviously, here you got two cannons in the front, one large cannon up top. Again, I mean, you're pretty much getting more of what you'd expect for it to be an actual tank with ranged fire. And another ability he put on this for all of these is repositioning. So reload skill -70, accuracy -70 while moving. So if they're moving, they're not going to be as accurate, not going to be as well off. They're better stationary. So I think with all these tanks having these abilities, it makes sense. Next up, we have the Griffin Panzer, which is going more of an Empire naming on this. You have the big cannons in the front. You have some turrets on the sides you can kind of see here, and then you have the two cannons up top, the actual turret itself. And there is another ability that they all have. This is stabilized. So whenever they stop, there's a calibration time period where they're less accurate, but after that, that goes away and they reload faster. So even when moving and stopping, you have to give them time to improve their stats. On this one here, the Hellblaze Panzer, I'm a really big fan of this turret. I just like watching it fire, and I like that it's kind of like a Gatling gun. Overall, I just really like the design of this, and these all share a lot of similarities, and that makes sense. I mean, your tanks wouldn't be too dramatically different from each other. Another ability that they have is called Emergency Vent. It pretty much puts fire damage around them, and it pushes infantry away from them, and it does damage over time. And the largest cannon of them all, the Helden Hammer. I like the naming of this unit too, it really fits in. This is a Regiment of Renown unit, so pretty much it's like a really high tier unit. It looks really good. It shares all the abilities we've talked about that we've seen across the board, so they are matching. The side turrets are flamethrower turrets, and then the front cannon there, so there's quite a bit of firepower on this thing. And our last vehicle here, we have Sigmar's Fury. As you can see here, a lot of weapon systems. You're going to have flamethrower in the front, flamethrowers on the side. You have a Gatling turret, and then you also have the two cannon turret up top. This thing's kind of like just everything combined. This one really stands out. It is definitely the best out of these, in my opinion. This would be the one I would want definitely in my armies for combat. But really just love the look. Great design. We are now at the Kislev section here, and they share all the abilities we've talked about to this point. And first up, we have the Akashina Warshed, which is comical. The fact that it's literally a shed with a cannon in it, and we're going to call it a tank, but here we go. It looks, I mean, overall, I mean, definitely stands out as Kislev. We got a big sign that says Kislev. Not a huge fan of these. I do not see myself using these in combat, or the next one in combat, really. We're still in the war sled area. We have the Kislevite Warshed. There's one large cannon. I will say a big difference. The last one had 2 cannons, and there actually is troops on the inside, and I believe they fire out the sides as well. This one only has the cannon, so your only weapon is the cannon itself. So there is a little bit of a trade-off there. But overall, I would not recommend using these. Now we're finally getting into what you would consider a real tank, the Strelezeska. Let's go with that. Overall, though, you can tell some of the Empire-ness looking to it, but then you also have some Kislev wood and fur and everything else. It's stylized enough, in my opinion, to be different. I like the cannons being different as well, so it still stands out. Like, it still definitely has a Kislev theme to it, and overall, I like the look of this, and it seems to do pretty okay in combat. Very similar to the last unit, we have the Tsar Grad, which is, I mean, the real difference is pretty much what it's firing, and then also the wings up top. I mean, that the aesthetic difference, you can see it. But overall, I've got to say this one's not bad. A lot of these tanks, I don't know if I'd actually use them in combat, or if I would probably save up and just go for the more expensive versions, because these are the lower tier ones. These actually do have an effect too, I will talk about later, on their ammo, starting from this unit on. We're now at the second highest tier one, the Vorpalov, which you can see here. You have a 3 cannon turret up top. It's going to fire 3 rounds at a time. This is where it actually starts to get, to me, like more usable, you know, like you're getting a little bit better, and I would actually see myself using these in my armies. I like the stats on these. These actually are different than the Empire tanks because they do magical damage on top of, you know, piercing and everything else. So there are some magical attack damage, whereas the Empire does more flame. I included this because it really shows the vent at work and how it actually looks. And their vent's a little different, as you can see, you know, with the effect compared to the Empire, just a tiny bit. But you can see how it keeps the infantry away from the tank. And I really like that. And now the top of the line Kislev tank, the Frostfather's Judgment. This thing's awesome. Like, this thing puts out the damage. It's great. You have little side turrets you can see, the big front cannon, and then the turret up top with 6 different cannons. It's just great. I mean, this is a fantastic unit. And all of these units, the top 3 tier units on this, the final 3 we watched, they all do Frostbite. So whenever they hit units, it does minus 30% speed. So they will slow down units they hit. But this is the best one to show it off because you can actually see the effect. And I had to know, head-to-head, which one's going to be better between the Empire tanks and the Kislev tanks if they're fighting each other. And I controlled Kislev tanks, and I made them focus fire on single units. So I will say, if it was AI versus AI, the Empire tanks are hands down better, in my opinion. But the Kislev tanks held their own. They're not bad either. It just kind of depends on your playstyle and what they're good at. But yeah, it was great. And guys, this is pretty much my entire video. I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, the mod link will be down in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch everyone next time on the next Mod Spotlight.